So in terms of building infrastructure for a shoppable or T-commerce future, you've got to factor in the content side and the retailer side. So what are we doing there? So focusing on the content side first, we're content agnostic. So we work with we work with content owners like NBC, Disney, the works, and NBC is public, so let's think about them. They have hours and hours and hours of content. We're processing that content for all of this metadata. So you've got to kind of think about that in the future of our industry and how that metadata will be leveraged in content ownership rights. And then swinging back over to the retailers, like I wanted to get ahead of myself on a moment ago, we also take in all of the product catalogs for the retailer side and create lookalike models from a identity perspective at the object level. So a lot of people think about identity as the human being, and we're actually creating a new level of identity inside of content and at the product level, because our tech and AI can get so granular with the way that we look at products and then correlate it back to the content.
For identity and currency, the currency is by its very nature, it's going to be standardized. It is something that is going to have a ubiquity across, all of our industry standards. Identity is not necessarily there yet, but it is becoming part of the core infrastructure that we are leveraging, across the life cycle of how we're activating media within the ecosystem overall. I do think that, there are certain barriers and walls to get to that currency state. But over time, there are things that we can work together to break down.
So I mean, yeah, the AI buzz is always an interesting conversation. I've heard a lot of pitches now, and it's like they say AI 1,000 times, and that's the entire pitch. I think what's funny is that it's not new. A lot of these technologies actually were coming out like 2 or 3 years ago. What I mentioned with transcribing audio to text, that's something that's become widely available within the last 3 years. What you're now seeing is the products that are being built on top of those solutions. So it's been around. People have been slowly collecting, building their data sets, and now they're making it so you can actually build a product on top of it. So I think it's very real. I think there's a lot of buzz, particularly around LLMs, large language models, the chat GBTs of the world. And we're going to see a bunch of products being built on top of those as well. The categorization problem it's particularly good at. But I think there is a lot of misunderstanding about what that particular type of AI is good for. People think it solves every single problem. But when you're talking about ad tech and you need these responses in milliseconds, an LLM is not really the right choice for a lot of the decisions we have to make in ad tech.
I think AI is a loaded word, but what KERV is doing is very unique because the creative process has been ancient for years. Antiquated ways of measurement, antiquated ways of building creative manual processes can now be solved by AI. So what AI is doing, it's basically breaking down one scene in a piece of video down to what we call the KERV pixel edge, identifying all the objects and correlating all those objects to some sort of output. That in itself is revolutionary because it automates a process that's been archaic for many years.
The inspiration for the mountains was this area in particular. This area from the Catskills to the Berkshires and everything in between is what we covered, and that's our purview. This has become just an amazing area in the last few years. I've been up here about 30 years, but in the last 5 to 10 years, it's really exploded. People from New York City, Brooklyn, New Jersey, California, and Florida have come to this region, A, for the beauty and splendor, but also for the energy that is here. All of these new businesses, restaurants, hotels, and Andy, in a funny way, Andy Plesser has tapped into what is going on, and the same reason that we're doing it is why Andy tapped into Beet Retreat being here, because of the talent that's here.
So I think we're definitely in a phase of consolidation in the ad tech industry, and I think we will continue to be in a consolidative phase for the foreseeable future. Certainly among the major hubs of technology, both on the buy side and on the sell side. The buy side, demand side platforms are a little bit further down the road in this trend, maybe in the 7th inning or so, Whereas on the sell side, I think it's earlier days, maybe the second or third inning, but we're starting to see that change. There's been some news in the industry around companies either shutting down or disappearing outright. And I think we're at a point where that's, quite frankly, long overdue. The buy side in particular is really driving this change. Buyers are being much more hands-on in terms of where their dollars are spent. Not only the technology partners that they choose on the buy side, but also following that dollar flow all the way down to the publishers and media owners, and really deeply understanding who the constituents are in between. We see buyers forging much deeper relationships with a smaller set of technology companies on the supply side for a variety of reasons, and I would expect that trend to continue.